Friends, Indian pharmaceutical industry has made tremendous strides. We learn about that from the point of view of Mr. Narayan Das. See, war sometimes acts as an impetus for developments. During the First World War, the old Indian companies like Alembic and Bengal Chemicals, they became the suppliers to the armed forces. I had worked with a company called John Wyeth and Brother Limited. John Wyeth and Brother Limited also had an impetus from the war time. When there was a war in USA, these brothers got an order from the army. And what for? The items supplied were barks of trees, powders of wooden material, which were the medicines available in those days. And they were bitter to taste. So, Wyeth brothers had developed a method of sugar coating these things in order to make them more palatable. See, small thing like sugar coating has led to a progress in the pharmaceutical industry in the United States. Similarly, small things have led to the progress of Indian pharmaceutical industry. Let us see how it worked out.
So we were talking about the role played by multinationals in the Indian healthcare system. Through the 50s and 60s, even up to 70s, they have brought in novel molecules of essential medicines,
Right.
especially antibiotics, penicillin,
Yes.
then sulfonamides. Then they brought in corticosteroids,
Yes.
hydrocortisone,
Yeah.
prednisolone, betamethasone, dexamethasone, etc., and other hormones, testosterone, estrogen, that is male and female hormones, antibiotics,
One
hormones.
more important thing is this introduction of ethambutol.
Huh?
Ethambutol.
Ethambutol, yes.
Yeah, in tuberculosis.
Yeah, then not only ethambutol, Pfizer had a combination drug
Mm.
called Enapas,
Mm.
that is
Yeah.
isoniazid with sodium para-aminosalicylic acid,
Right.
a combination drug.
Right.
Then Ledley came out with the third, that is that ethambutol,
Mm.
which was copied by other companies, I suppose. Then Themis had ethambutol, and various other companies have it.
Yeah, the next significant antibiotic in tuberculosis was rifampicin, which
Yes.
was not introduced by any foreign company but an Indian company called PCI.
Called
PCI.
PCI, okay.
Yeah, they introduced it.
So in addition to that, many of some of the foreign companies were making a lot of APIs.
Mm.
They had huge manufacturing plants. I can vouch for it. Glaxo had a plant for manufacturing vitamin B12, vitamin A, vitamin C, betamethasone, and of course later other molecules have introduced. So also the other multinationals must have introduced various things. The second thing is they have maintained stringent quality throughout their reign. Maybe here and there may be some aberrations, but by and large they maintained that. That was their talking point. Research.
Now, a company cannot have two different standards in two different countries.
Yes.
Whatever standards they follow in
Exactly.
USA, they must have followed
Yes.
here.
Yes. Okay.
Right.
Whether you would say that it is by compulsion, not by volition. Okay, agreed.
Okay.
Still, they maintain that quality standards, and the quality they also maintained in promotion of drugs.
Yes.
Through the 60s and 70s, their marketing was very sedate, very conservative, and they stuck to the theory. They never violated the theory.
They stuck to the product, whereas Indian companies did not stick to the product. They had other means of promoting their product.
No, not only that, even in promotion. For
Mm.
example, you see, most of the doctors, when people promoting corticosteroids approach, then the one question they ask is, what are the effects of long-term use of corticosteroids?
Right.
So I answered one doctor in Kakinada, and then he said, "Can you get me some references to it?" So I wrote to them. The medical department gave a reply. After seeing that, he stood up and shook hands.
Oh.
I never expected this kind of frank answer from a pharmaceutical company.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They said yes, long-term effects are there.
I remember another instance. There was a doctor practicing in Bhimavaram.
Okay.
So went and said, Dr. Mucain can be used for peptic ulcer.
Hmm.
He said, what is so great about it? Every antacid is used for peptic ulcer.
Peptic ulcer.
So I said, Wyeth had never said this is for peptic ulcer. Wyeth had always said Mucain is for gastritis.
Gastritis, gastric.
And this doctor waited for a minute, then got up, went to the attached medical shop, got the literature out of the bottle, out of the packing, and then he read the literature in front of me, that enclosure, the piece of paper, and then said, yes, it does not mention peptic ulcer. Now, this is one reason why we respect multinationals. They speak, whatever is ethical, right? The insert did not say peptic ulcer. It's only then we started saying it is useful for peptic ulcer based on this report.
The one aberration I can cite, once again, you might say that I'm obsessed with chloromycin. During my...
No, chloromycetin was definitely a lifesaver.
It was a lifesaving drug. There is no doubt about it.
Right.
I'm coming to the promotion of it.
Right.
See, during even school days and college days, I had this habit of reading that packing leaflets.
Right, inserts.
So at that time, I had no idea about the pharmaceutical industry. So I was reading of course, they give the chemical composition, that formula, that organic formula, etc., etc. Then uses, side effects. When it came to side effects, one sentence caught my attention. It was strangely constructed. I was wondering why. What is the reason for this? It says, blood dyscrasias are not uncommonly found.
That's what the language is twisted.
Why?
Right. Because
they could have said the blood dyscrasias are very common. Be careful when you're using this drug.
Right.
It was and in a country in which English was a foreign language.
Right. Right.
It is not very easy for even many doctors to comprehend that sentence. This is one aberration I found. But otherwise, by and large, what I found was they stuck to their ethics and principles, things like that.
Now, actually, if you look at it, see Martindale or pharmacopoeias, they don't start with usages of a drug.
No.
They start with the adverse reactions.
Adverse reactions.
Then they come to the usages.
Yes, yes.
So this is an ethical point.
And for adverse reactions, what I observed, at least in Glaxo, was they had a procedure. If a doctor reports an adverse reaction, somebody from Bombay comes with a big format. It's like an investigation.
Right. Maybe 15 pages or 16.
Yeah. Right. So one doctor reported in Rajahmundry about some adverse reaction. The doctor came all the way with by a bunch of forms. And so that, see, they were sensitive to these things.
I mean, the sincerity of the people, of the multinationals, need not be always suspect. They are very fair at times.
Yes, there is a commercial interest. There is an ethical interest.
Right.
Both the things are there.
Now, I would have mentioned it to you earlier. As a Wyeth representative, I was required to sign a paper saying that I will not bribe any
doctor.
Right? And this was the requirement of the parent company. That was because of some scandal that occurred with the aircraft sales in some nation, not in India, some other nation,
some other country.
So they were sensitive about these matters.
So that is about the ethical promotion till the 80s. Probably after 80s, things might have changed. I don't know. They were sticking to that. Then we come to the...
So in conclusion, you would say that the presence of Indian multinationals has helped the industry to maintain a certain standard.
Yes,
whether in manufacture or in product promotion.
product promotion. Yes, in
Right.
both the things.
Right.
Yes. I was just collecting a little information about the Indian pharmaceutical industry.
Okay.
The oldest pharmaceutical company in India is, surprisingly, Bengal Chemicals and Pharmaceuticals,
Yeah, Bengal. Yeah.
which was founded in 1901, followed by Alembic in 1907. Himalaya Drugs was established in 1930. And Raptocos Brett, about which we were talking, that was established also in 1930. Cipla was established in 1935. Cadila in 1952. And Ranbaxy in 1961. Probably they were selling other things like liniments, then gripe water, then those solutions which were being dispensed by doctors. What are they? Carbonative mixtures.
Carbonative mixtures.
Carbonative mixtures. Probably things like that they were selling
Yeah,
ointments.
there were several of those things.
Yeah, other things are there.
For example, I remember there was an extract of opium.
Huh?
There was a tincture opium.
Yeah.
Tincture opium was sold as a treatment for the diarrhea.
And then this gauge, plus that aluminum, this thing, zinc powder, for wounds and
Bismuth
cuts.
bicarbonate.
Bismuth bicarbonate, yes.
A lot of things.
They were selling. Now we come to the current scenario.
Now I'm reminded, just the other day, I saw somebody buying sodium bicarbonate.
Sodium bicarbonate, yeah.
Tablets. You know what is the price like? I was amazed. It's about 32 rupees per strip of 10 tablets. Should have been sold at 32 paise. You remember? In olden days, we had tablets of yeast sold by Alembic.
Yes.
I think 100 tablets were costing about maybe 1 rupee or 2 rupees or something like that. But those days are gone now.
Those days are gone because even those companies, say at one time Glaxo was selling ferrous sulfate tablets at 5 paise tablet, 500 tablets tin. It was available, beautifully packed and coated red color, appealing red color. But then they also realized to sustain in the market, you can't always rely on low priced products. Right. Because
you cannot pay your employees well, and you cannot maintain
invest in promotion, invest in expansion of the company, and then still sell everything at a low price. It's not possible. So things became changing in the 1980s.
It's the socialists might have said that it should be cheap, but without a profit element, there is nothing like expansion of a company or survival of a company. Profits are essential, and you have to make a profit. The union would say, look here, we need an increment every year.
That's what always I was always surprised. CPIM-led union, they tell the public, we are asking our companies to bring down the prices.
Right.
Inside, they will say, you have to increase our salaries, reduce our workload.
Okay, by and large, the standards of the pharmaceutical
they were maintaining standards in their manufacturing. Quality was maintained, and promotion was also ethical.
Right.
So, in a way, we contributed our little bit to the pharmaceutical industry.
Okay.
Over a period of time, it has grown. And today it is a magnificent structure. In 1970s, there were actually 2,257 companies.
2,257 companies
in 1970s.
Wow.
By 2004-5, in about a span of 30 years, the number grew out to 23,000.
10 times.
There are 23,000 companies now.
Yeah, it is 10 times the figure that was prevailing in 1970.
Yeah.
So over a period of 50 years, it has grown by 10 times.
Yes. Now, today, Indian pharma market is the third largest in the world by volume, 13th largest by value.
That's natural because
our prices are comparatively low.
purchasing power parity, as they call it,
Yes.
our prices are more efficient.
Then the Indian pharma markets 60,000 generic formulations in 60 categories.
Wow. 60,000 brands.
Brands or whatever you call.
Okay.
60,000 brands in 60 categories.
Wow.
Then the IPM, that is Indian pharma market, is estimated to be $42 billion in 2021. ఇది కావాలంటే I can give you the PDF.
$42 billion by
$42 billion in 2021. This is estimated to reach $65 billion by 2024.
How many billions?
65. And 130 billion by 2030.
See, for one thing, the population of India has grown tremendously, right?
Yes.
Has grown tremendously.
No, the
So
Indian
per capita consumption cannot remain the same because
Yes.
there are a number of lifestyle
number
diseases.
of factors. You see, in our time, maybe 30, 40 years back, an antihypertensive drug, one drug used to be prescribed.
Right, correct.
Now an antihypertensive uses 4 drugs. My wife uses 4 drugs.
Right.
2 in a combination and 2 separate.
Right. See that? See that?
And I use 2.
And this includes statins, or it doesn't?
Statins we have stopped because the statins she was having swollen feet.
Oh, okay.
Edema.
Okay.
So we have discontinued statins. So by 2030 it will be $130 billion.
I think they are pushing this herpes zoster back.
Herpes zoster, okay. See, the drugs have been there for quite some time. Acyclovir was used for the last 20, 30 years. If it is required, it is prescribed. It is not a preventive.
No, they are talking about vaccines.
Vaccine for herpes zoster.
Herpes zoster.
So they
say, the advertisement says, 1 in so many people, 1 in 5 or 8.
No, these things always happen. It is the clout of the industry. Sometimes, like the US pharma industry, even in India, there is that political play is there. Yes. You use your political clout and the immunization schedules are bolstered or doctored or whatever it is. They do it.
Correct.
Whether sometimes required, sometimes not required. Then in 2022-23, exports from the Indian pharmaceutical industry were valued at $25.3 billion. Indian pharma contributes to the Indian GDP 1.72%.
Okay, good.
Indian GDP is 3.5 trillion. 1.72% of it comes from pharma industry.
Right.
India
now
is
clarify one thing for me. You said this is about 42 billion is the current size of the Indian pharma industry. Does it include the exports, or this is apart from the exports?
That includes, obviously it includes exports.
Yes. Okay then. Fine.
Indian pharma is the largest supplier of generic medicines to the world. It supplies 40% of US generic requirements.
Right. Okay.
India
produces. But one sec. Look at it. If 42 billion is the size of the Indian industry, and 25 billion is the exports out of it, obviously we are exporting more than what we are consuming. Well, let's get some clarification later on this. Okay.
No, 25.3 is the exports. Total is 42.
Yeah.
What is the problem?
The problem is it is more than half is exported.
Yeah, correct. Okay, in that case, probably this is a different statistic. You could be right.
Right.
India produces 50% of world's vaccines. Vaccine requirements. Okay.
Good. And we are actually proud of the vaccine scenario.
Yes.
Because we did not import any vaccine for COVID.
We did not import any vaccine. and we have vaccinated 2 billion doses.
Right. 2 billion doses. Besides
Yes,
this,
plus 290 million doses we have exported to other countries.
right.
We are gifted, not
Gifted.
exported,
Yes.
gifted.
Exactly. That's my point.
290 million doses were gifted to 50 or 52 countries.
Yeah.
And 1970 Patents Act we have discussed.
Mm.
India actually recognized signed the TRIPS agreement of WTO in 95
95. Yes.
with a 10-year mailbox period.
Right.
And they finally on January 1st, 2005, TRIPS kicked in. From then onwards, no process patenting.
No process patenting.
Okay.
And all the chemical engineers and scientists lost
That's all
their
gone now.
initiative. It's all gone.
Now we come to the yeah. I was telling in the 70s, the ethical promotion products were marketed based on their relative strengths.
Mm.
Even uttering a competitor's name was taboo.
Yeah, I remember those days.
The market also was responsive. The greediest of doctors asked only for some extra samples, nothing else, no other freebies. And at the other extreme, of course, the other things are there. I have seen doctors who refused samples. There is a couple in Tenali. Both husband is a physician and wife is a gynecologist. Even today, they don't accept any samples. The visit is only to introduce products.
Right.
That is one extreme. In those days, a majority of doctors were relying on medical representatives for information,
Yes.
except those in teaching hospitals.
Right.
Today, of course, it is not required because you have internet and
you have journals on the line,
yes,
online.
Yeah, on palm tops.
Right.
Journals are available, apps are available.
Right.
Even I get JAMA.
Okay. You get a JAMA?
Yes.
Wow. Free of cost?
Huh?
Free of cost? Or
yes, free of cost. They send a mailer every week or so. You can also subscribe. You can get JAMA free. Before the market was polluted, chemists were respecting medical reps. I still remember when we walked in the 1970s, some of them used to stand up.
Okay.
Now they
it's the reverse.
Now it is reverse. So that is self-made. That is what we have done.
Too much of supply and too little demand.
Yes, too much of supply and too little demand. Yeah. So this is roughly what we have the history of the Indian pharmaceutical industry. Probably in another episode we can take a closer look at how drugs were promoted by various companies.
Right. Thank you very much. You have covered a lot of ground.
I hope so. I hope it was useful.
A lot of ground. Thank you very much. Thank you. I hope this will be useful to someone who is looking at the history of the pharmaceutical industry in India.
Yeah.
Whether it is a student of management or a student of pharmacy. Or,
in fact,
sociology.
the other day I was asking you, there is no history of pharmaceutical industry in India. That is a big lacuna. If somebody undertakes, it's a big project. It requires maybe 5 years to research and write a book.
Right.
Somebody can do it. It will be useful.
Yeah, we should look.
Glaxo has 2 biographies,
Oh, really?
So if a company can have a
biography, why not?
Why can't an industry? And that too, an industry, a vibrant industry like that,
right.
which grew from almost infancy to the level it reached today.
Right. I hope someday it will touch 2% of the GDP.
Yeah.
And that is a time when.
But 2% of GDP is not a big deal. Already it is 1.7.
No, I mean in the near future. Anyway, the industry minister should commission a history of Indian pharmaceutical industry.
Yeah, if somebody does it, it is
right.
Good. Probably Hamid can do it. Why not?
Why not the universities? See, Andhra University has a long history of teaching pharmacy.
Yes.
Andhra University at one time was well known. It was looked upon as a great grandfather of the pharmaceutical sciences in India. Why not Andhra University?
I had tried to look at websites. The websites were also sanitized. Bengal Chemicals and Pharmaceuticals was started with an outlay of 700 rupees in 1901.
Well, in 1901, 700 must have been a princely sum of money.
It must have been a sizable sum.
Yeah, I remember in 1920s during depression, one bag of paddy was sold at 1 rupee, 1 rupee and 8 annas or something like that.
Yes,
So if you go back a little, maybe 700 rupees was as good as 700 pounds or something else.
possibly.
Right?
Similarly, in 1952,
Hmm.
the Cadilla,
Cadilla.
it was started with 25,000 rupees,
See that, see
and
that,
their first year turnover was 1,25,000,
see that,
according to their website.
right?
So these are some interesting statistics. Of course, Cadilla later split into two, and one of them has now a joint venture with Bayer,
Mm-hmm.
Bayer Cadilla.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I see. That's interesting.
Mm.
Right. And we forgot about one more company. There is an Indian immunologicals at Hyderabad, which has made a substantial contribution to the
Yes.
vaccine scene.
Yes, yes.
Whether it was veterinary or human, I think
You know,
initially
it is a public sector undertaking.
it is a public sector
Yes,
undertaking.
it is. It is an organ of the National Dairy Development Board.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, its contribution should be acknowledged.
Right.
Right. They have both human as well as veterinary.
They started with veterinary.
Huh?
They started with veterinary,
They started with veterinary, then yes.
and then they sort of.
Yes.
Now,
yes.
of course, there is what is called Bharat Serum and all that.
Bharat Serum is there,
is the public
and
sector.
Serum Institute we have mentioned.
Right.
Then several other companies have gone into vaccines now.
Hyderabad Biological Evans was known
Biologically
for
was having vaccines.
vaccines.
Glaxo was having vaccines.
Right.
Many
Glaxo had
vaccines they were
yeah.
manufacturing. So now many companies have entered this vaccine.
Bharat Biotech, for example.
Bharat Biotech, yes. Then Shanta Biotech.
Shanta Biotech.
They were
yes.
pure vaccine companies originally.
Right. So I think vaccines make up a substantial volume.
Yes, substantial volume, yes.
Volume in India, right?
And they have also moved into the biotechnology area. The recombinant vaccines.
Yeah.
It will be like producing copies.
Mm-hmm.
Once you have that little genome,
right,
they keep replicating it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a sizable market and it's a useful market.
How big is this venom, anti-venom market?
Not very big because it is limited to India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, and some parts of Africa. But if you want to sell in Africa, you will have to get the venom from there.
Oh yeah, naturally. Yeah. It is a local species.
Local species you have to use.
Right.
When I was in this anti-venom company, Wins Bioproducts, we were trying to acquire some venom from Africa. There are 5-6 varieties, species of snakes. I don't. By the time I left, this work was still going on. Here, the snake venom, it's not a very big market, not a very lucrative market. The company will have to depend on other things.
Friends, you have seen the progress of Indian pharmaceutical industry. Today, we are proud that Indian pharmaceutical industry has come a long way, and from being a net importer of pharmaceutical goods, today India is a net exporter of pharmaceuticals. I'm quite happy to share Mr. Narayan Das' views with you, and I would welcome other friends also. I would welcome you to share your views on the progress of Indian pharmaceutical industry. Thank you.